Thanks for waking up with us.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Staying Focused with Jesus. Hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ. As always, today is Thursday, May 19th. Thursday, May 19th, 2022. I came across this article titled NASA Engineers Puzzled by Impossible Voyager 1 Data. Now I know there are those out there that like to believe that nothing has ever left the earth in regards to us, even though they believe that things, came down with technology and stuff like that they gave to man. We can talk about Area 51, the Greys and stuff like that. I don't personally subscribe to that, and there's many reasons. We see those many reasons in the scriptures. We're dealing with spirit. If a person knows how to access that spirit in that way, that spiritual power, then they can do certain things. We see also in the book of Genesis where they were building the Tower of Babel. And what did God himself say? Nothing shall stop them from what they have imagined to do. Nothing shall stop them from what they have imagined to do. And we know on the deeper level what they were striving to accomplish with the Tower of Babel. They were wanting or striving to open up a gateway, a portal to enter into what we know and we term the third heaven, to go in there and wage war against God. But let me also add this. Our minds don't always comprehend things the way they should. This is why it's so important to be led by the Spirit. I want you to take your hand and ball it in a ball. Now take your other hand and hover over it a few centimeters away from your other hand, almost like a covering. There's not much space between there, right? Now I want you to take the hand that's the covering, and I want you to expand it out. Expand it out. You see that? You see that gap in between your hand that's the ball and the hand that you're using as a covering? That's what I believe. I believe that what we call the atmosphere and all these different layers, that it goes out further than what most people understand. When they look at it as, okay, it's real close. I don't believe it's that close. I believe certain layers of it is that close, but the layers are almost stacked on each other, and you got this big old protection layer that goes out so many miles or whatever. That's what I believe overall, and I don't believe that you can't go outside that. We're gonna say that buffer, that protection zone. If they know what they're doing, they can. We've seen it many times. We see it in the scriptures. But let's listen to this article, and then I'm going to pause on certain points. And there's one point at the end I really want to get to.
NASA engineers puzzled by impossible Voyager 1 data. Something is afoot with Voyager 1. The veteran spacecraft continues its journey beyond the solar systems, collecting incredible scientific data while studying interstellar space. but NASA engineers were surprised by some unexpected readings. The readouts from the probe's attitude articulation and control system don't seem to match what the spacecraft is doing.
If the data isn't matching what the spacecraft is actually doing, then something is going on, right? What I believe is something else has taken control of this spacecraft. You can call it an alien, you can call it whatever you want to. Excuse me, but for the data to not match up, something else is going on. Remember, a spiritual man, spiritual woman understands spiritual things. Stop looking at things through the flesh, and then you will see what's really going on. Also, you heard me say this a million times. The physical is what? The manifestation of the spiritual. We are first and foremost spiritual because God is spirit. And then we are manifested in this world that we know.
The AACS is fundamental for the craft, mainly because it keeps the Voyager 1's antenna pointing right at our planet. If it goes off, we might never again communicate with the probe, which is the furthest human-made object from Earth. From what they can tell, the AACS is sending randomly generated telemetry or some impossible data, but no fault protection system has been triggered and the antenna continues to be firmly keeping its earthbound orientation.
It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. No fault protection system has been triggered to say, hey, something is wrong. And it still continues to be pointed toward Earth. Now, I found this interesting because you have all this talk about aliens recently. You know, we've been talking about, when I say we, mankind, has been talking about aliens, but recently it has ramped up, right? NASA sending nudes to space. They've done it before, but they're now doing it again. Not only are they sending nudes to space, but they are sending the DNA codes. Like, hey, this is our DNA. This is what it is. Like, they don't already know that. I think I'm gonna add that article in this video too. You know, thinking about. I think I'm gonna add that article also for those who don't know that. So you have that. Then they had this meeting 50 years after their alleged, or I'm going to say official meeting, where they are talking about, I think they call them UFAs, UAF, something like that. I can't remember. Some of you know what I'm talking about. They don't necessarily call them UFOs. They call them UFA, unidentified flying object. No, that's, oh, my bad. UAF or UFA, something like that. I still said the same as an unidentified flying object. But yeah, you got that talk going on right now. Just a lot going on. You may ask, well, what do I believe it's for? Well, we know what's eventually going to happen. Aliens do play what we call aliens. Those type of aliens, they do play a part in Bible prophecy. They absolutely do. I mean, you think about it. We are aliens. The Bible talks about us, being foreigners. We are foreigners to this world, this earth, the way everything is. This is alien to us. This is alien to us. Making $200,000 a year selling farts in a jar is alien to us. That's not godly, righteous behavior. Now, one of the main reasons I believe that they are speaking about it more and they are doing a soft disclosure is because they know what's coming. They are in contact with these beings because these beings are walking around in the flesh. So many people get so sucked off into what's going on in outer space and finding aliens in space when a lot of the aliens, what we call aliens, the stuff you see in movies, they are here on this earth and they are walking around in the flesh of mankind. Now let me gather my thoughts. the ones that are more so walking around in the flesh of mankind, not all of them, but most of the ones that are walking around in the flesh of mankind are we're going to say the higher ups. The Bible told you about them, the shapeshifters. He told you that Satan, who is the reptilian, the king reptilian, right? Reptile serpent, you see what I'm saying? It's not nothing dealing with what y'all think it is. Like, oh, reptile people, they look like crocodiles or whatever. They can look like that. They look terrible in their true form. They're not beautiful anymore. And they can take on the personality of these different creatures, but it goes deeper than that. When we're talking about reptilian race and all this other stuff, you're talking about the serpent seed, the children of the devil, the serpent himself. And the Bible lays this out, but it's not dramatized the way it is in the movies and how people say it. So, they don't necessarily believe it's in the Bible. He told you the wheat and the tares. We are the wheat, the children of God, and the tares are what? The children of the wicked one, the serpent. So they are the shapeshifters. Y'all heard me preach this many, many times. They eat like us, walk like us, talk like us. They look like us, but they are serpent people. They are serpent people. Those are the ones who, we're going to say are in the higher ups. Because they have more influence over mankind by coming as mankind than coming in their true form or coming as a great alien. Which a lot of these what we call great alien beings and everything, they're just different species. That's how they ended up when God stripped them of their glory. And some of these things are stuff that these tares on this earth they created. We can go deeper into it and whatnot, but we'll say that for another video. But they are they're doing a soft disclosure until they ultimately are allowed. Listen to what I just said. Until they are ultimately allowed by God to do full disclosure. It's not the Galactic Federation, the Council of Nine, any of these other groups that are holding off full disclosure from happening. Is God Almighty that's stopping full disclosure from happening. Because from my research and what I've been shown is when you have full disclosure, when full disclosure happens, it goes hand in hand with the New World Order. It goes hand in hand with what we know as Gasara, the Great Reset, the Global Reset that they keep on talking about. All of it is tied together. It's all tied together. And I've done videos on these different things. Showing you how it's tied together. Showing you how they themselves, they say it. Let's go back to what we're reading.
The team is investigating what is causing the problem, but until that is understood, there is no telling what the impact will be, including on scientific observations. A mystery like this is sort of par for the course at this stage of the Voyager mission, Suzanne Dodd, project manager for Voyager 1 and 2 at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, said in a statement. The spacecraft are both almost 45 years old, which is far beyond what the mission planners anticipated. We're also in interstellar space, a high radiation environment that no spacecraft have flown in before. So there are some...
And what is radiation? Radiation is light. It's light. That's what it is. Maybe we'll look it up once we get done with this.
Anticipated. We're also in interstellar space, a high radiation environment that no spacecraft have flown in before. So there are some big challenges for the engineering team. But I think if there's a way to solve this issue with the AACS, our team will find it. Voyager 1 is about 23.3 billion kilometers from Earth. Light takes 20 hours and 33 minutes to get there.
Now that was a very, very interesting part to me right there. That last part. Light takes 20 hours and 33 minutes to get there. They dramatize it in the movie and everything. Send the message and stuff. It takes time. There is a delay, and people, that's not real. Well, it's not real when you're going according to the flesh, but it's real when you go according to the Bible. And I'm going to show you that there is a delay, and that's the real message I want to relay to you. The real message I want to relay is, why is there a delay? Why is there a delay in your blessing? I ask myself that same question. Like, Lord, why are you delaying this blessing? I know for a fact you brought me to this point, so what's the holdup? I know everything is done in your timing, but what's the holdup, Lord? We've done this, we've done that. That's what I want you to understand. That's why I want you to ask yourself, why is there a delay in your blessing? Is it a delay because God don't want to give it to you right now? Is it a delay because God is saying it's not time? That's a possibility. Or is there a delay because something else is going on? Read the last part again. Light takes 20 hours and 33 minutes to get there. Now, they have other technology to be able to get messages faster, because you can travel faster than the speed of light, which is what they're always talking about, right? Traveling faster than the speed of light. Why? Because of time. Time in regards to the human body. You can't travel all these light years when you're not moving faster than the speed of light, because by the time you get there, you'll be dead. That's why in a lot of these movies, these sci-fi movies and everything, you see they have stuff like, stasis, where they preserve that person, put them in a little pod and everything, and say, you got to sleep for, all these years, because you're going to die before you get there, before we get to our destination and stuff, right? Let's go look at the word radiation, and then we'll go to the scriptures, and then we'll probably read that other article where they send in nudes into space. Radiation. Act or process of what? Emitting light. A shining. To beam, shine, gleam. Make beaming, from the word radius, which is beam of light. Spoke of a wheel. That's very, very interesting, considering the scriptures about Christ being in the wheel, Ezekiel's vision, right? Very, very interesting. Radiation, energy that is radiated or transmitted in the forms of rays or waves or particles. That's why you talk about electronic devices giving off radiation. It's light. It's what it's communicating with. It's communicating with our spirit. That's why I tell you, the digital world is the spiritual world. At the core, we talk about the digital world. Digital currency is dealing with the spirit. We give off radiation. Radiation comes in. It's a communication. The act of spreading outward from a central source. Okay, if you have radiation going out in regards to space and coming forth, then where's it coming from? Where's that central source? Where's all this radiation that's coming from space coming from? What is the central source of it? If it's beaming, that means it's directed towards something. It tells you to see radius. It says cross shaft, staff, stake, rod, spoke of a wheel, ray of light, beam of light, radius of a circle. And then it says perhaps related to radix, which is root, but this guy says that he finds it unlikely. I don't see why you would find that unlikely, because light has a source. And if something is beaming from you, then it's pointing you toward the source. People talking about aliens and stuff like that. Think about in the alien movies, what they do, they put a beam of light down to abduct the person or whatever they are abducting, right? That beam of light is pointing you toward the source, which is the alien craft. People are so smart, but so stupid. But let's go over to this the scriptures real fast. All right, we jumped over here to the beloved Daniel. Daniel is going to tell us through the Spirit some very, very interesting things.
In the 3rd year of Cyrus king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long, and he understood the thing, and had understanding of the vision. In those days I Daniel was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and looked, and behold a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass.
You know what this is talking about, right? It's talking about Christ. This is Christ before he came as Christ, meaning coming as Christ to be slain. And it gives a physical description of him.
His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass. And the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I Daniel alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves.
Now notice that. And I Daniel alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Everything ain't for everybody, as we say. You can see God. You can see something and someone else don't see it. You can have a vision, you can have a revelation. And other people don't see it, but they see something completely different. They feel the earthquake. I also mention this when it comes to what we call the catching away, the rapture. I use the biblical term, the catching away. I believe that when it does happen, we're going to see one thing, and then the world is going to see something completely different. And here's an example of that.
And I Daniel alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone, and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. And, behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands.
Daniel was probably still thinking that he was in a dream. Because then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. Then the hand touched him, the hand of God. He was on his knees and everything. His flesh or somewhere in him was probably thinking like, man, this is a dream, this is a dream. But a lot of times a dream isn't just what we call a dream. It's real. It's real. That vision you have, it's actually real. It's happening, or has happened, or whatever the environment is. It's happening right there. It's not just something that is a collective bringing together of images to create this imagination. Sometimes that is the case, because we know the word speaks about that you can have a dream or you can have a vision based on something that you are imagining. You can project that within you so much that you can cause it to be manifested in a dream or vision and say, oh, I had a dream or vision from God. This is why you have to run everything through what we say, call the filter of the word, through the Spirit.
And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright. For unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince...
Did you read that? Did you hear that? Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand. That first time you prayed, God heard you. But there was a delay. The first day, the first time you prayed to have understanding and to chasten yourself, chastise thyself before thy God, to humble thyself. He heard your words. He heard your prayer. And then this person, who we know this person is come for thy words. I've come to give you understanding. But there was a delay. So the question is, why is there a delay? Why was there a delay with Daniel? And some of you know, but hopefully this is edifying you. You're thinking a little bit differently, thinking a little bit deeper. Why was there not only a delay with Daniel, but why is there a delay with certain things? We ain't talking about God, Christ, Holy Spirit delaying things because we're not ready. We're talking about this specifically. What's up with this delay with your blessing? He's telling you right here. He's telling you right here why sometimes, and I believe a lot of times, there is a delay in a blessing. There's a delay in answers. God heard us the first time that we prayed. He heard us the first time that we set our heart to understand. If you're setting your heart to understand, that means you're learning from Him. Now remember, it has to be physically manifested. This is why sometimes you pray for something and you're like, boom, you get it immediately. And sometimes you be praying for someone, you'll be doing something, you're like, dang, what's going on? You're dealing with a different level of spiritual spiritual authority. You're dealing with, like in the context of right here, spiritual wickedness in high places.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But, lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia.
Did you notice that?
Now I am come.
Let me go back. But the prince, he said, the first day we heard you. God heard you. But what? The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me what? 21 days. He withstood me 21 days. Now he coming from the heavenly realm. He coming from the heavenly realm. But it took him 21 days just to get to Daniel. Let that sink in. It took him 21 days just to get to Daniel. So that was the delay. It wasn't a delay because he didn't answer. He wasn't going to get answered. He wasn't going to give Daniel an answer. It was a delay because the king of Persia withstood him. Like, hey, you can't come through. You may say, well, how is that possible? Because you got to understand the word. Even though God is all powerful, things are going to be done in the right way so that nobody is without excuse. Satan currently is still, he has the authority over this world as the God of this world. We know we have more authority than the president of the United States, but you just can't walk into the White House, can you? I demand to speak to the president. You can't do that. The folk gonna lay you down. You ain't gonna make it that far. You go jump that fence and go tell me what happens to you. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna withstand you. You don't have authority to be here. Now Christ did have the authority, but Satan is still the God of this world. And there is no power, no authority except through God himself. So he had to respect his own power and authority, knowing that he gave that power and authority to the king of Persia, Satan. And there are many reasons for that. That's like if I give my child, who is now grown, power and authority to do certain things, I have to respect it because I'm the one that gave it to him. I have to respect it because I'm the one that gave it to him. Now, even though you have that, I'm still the ruler over the authority that I've given to them. So I know how to navigate. I know how to make it through it. Let's say my son gets some authority and he's trying to manipulate it. There's a delay in your blessing because of this spiritual warfare that we are fighting. Y'all give me a second. Let me close this door. My children about to pull up, I think. They're gonna be making all that noise. But he says, but lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Like, no, we ain't gonna let you go. They held him and they made the process longer than what it's going to actually take. They couldn't stop him because he has the authority to come through. It's almost like being detained when you're coming into another country. All your paperwork is legit. They can't stop you from coming through because everything is legit, so they're going to draw out the process. Oh, I know about that. They can't stop the will of God, but they can drag out the process of me closing on his house even longer. You know why? Because they don't want me to have that blessing. They don't want me to have that type of money because they know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna use it to spread the gospel even more. I'm gonna use it to gain more resources, to put more money into the ministry and to put more money into other people's ministry. Why would the devil want that? The devil know who I am. He know I'm fighting against him. It's though I tell you, it's deeper than real estate. I know at this point it's like cliche, me saying it, but it is. You're dealing with some real life spiritual warfare, and I got many brothers and sisters that are dealing with similar things in their own life. Some of you may be listening to the video right now and be like, hey man, because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Why is there a delay in my blessing? I'm telling you right now. And I can conclude that I'm going through this so I can make this video, make this sermon right here. Because if I'm not going through what I'm going through, do I make this sermon? Do I make it from an understanding of like, hey, I understand this? Do I read the articles that I read? Do I take that break that I took with my computer and stuff being attacked? Do I do any of that? That's why you have to have patience. That's why you have to have patience.
Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And, behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth, and spake, and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remained no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me, and said, O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee, be strong, be strong.
Now notice how they're coming. They're coming in the appearance of men. Didn't the word tell you to be careful when you entertain strangers? Count the number of the beast, for the number of the beast is the number of a what? Of a man. The devil ain't coming as no dragon. He comes as a man, yet he is a dragon.
Then there came again and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me, and said, O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee, be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened, and said, Let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me.
The word of God strengthens you. And when he has spoken unto me, I was strengthened. When God speaks to you, the reason that we are strengthened when God speaks to us, because he's speaking to our spirit, and our spirit is strengthened. Now you can handle what he's saying. Now you're ready. In our what? In our weakness, we are made strong.
Then said he, Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia, and when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come.
Do you see what he's describing? He's describing the statue that Daniel saw, that Daniel was given a revelation of. But in the spiritual world, he's already fighting these kingdoms. He said, I'm fighting against the prince of Persia. He said, and when I'm going forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. So I'm already fighting against the prince of Persia. But when I go back, then here come the prince of Grecia. They're gonna come against me. He already fighting against these different kingdoms of darkness in that spiritual world. But in this physical world, it takes time to manifest. That's why he had already given the vision. He gave him a vision, prophecy of what had already happened and what was already going on. That's why I tell you that you're in multiple places at multiple times. You're here on earth, but you're also seated in the heavenly places. We're fighting against spiritual wickedness in high places. There's a delay in your blessing that could take 21 days. That could take 42 days. That could take a year. That could take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It could take a day, however long it takes. But we're talking about in regard to a delay. There's a delay because of the spiritual warfare that's going on in the unseen world, but we can still see it. Because we have broken down what faith really deals with, what faith really means. You can't see it with your natural eye, but you can see it with your spiritual eye. You can't hear it with your natural ears, but you can hear it with your spiritual ear if you know where to look and how to look. You can't see nanotechnology with your natural eye, but you believe it's there. You see the evidence of it. Then once you see it, is no more faith. We see the word, we have the word, so we believe it. But it points us to Christ, who we have not seen in his full glory yet. So we hold on to that because we know we will be just as him. And now, he says again, and now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. He was already fighting. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael your prince. That last part is very, very powerful also. Ain't too many people fighting. He said in this right here, ain't too many, they didn't want to deal with it. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael your prince. Obviously you got Michael. Michael has his people with him, of course, that are fighting with him, his battalion, his legion. Many are called, but few are chosen. I want you to let that sink in. How pretty much who we know we call Christ, Jesus Christ. But he wasn't coming against Christ right here, meaning he wasn't coming to be the Messiah that was giving his life for us. But we know this is Christ. Christ himself is saying, there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince. Ain't too many. We fighting. We're going to be, and we are victorious, but it ain't too many. It ain't too many. This is why there's a delay in your blessing. Because it ain't too many. They already fighting. And they're trying to get these blessings to you, but they still have to fight. Certain blessings come faster. Sometimes there's a delay. If you order something off of Amazon, sometimes there's a delay that's out of Amazon's hands. It's not that the package isn't going to get to you, but there's a delay. It's not that the blessing isn't going to get to you. It's that there's a delay. You just have to see why there is a delay. And sometimes, a lot of times, especially in the time period that we're living in, there is a delay because of this spiritual war. God heard your prayer the first time that you prayed it, and he knew that you were sincere. But because of what's going on in the spiritual world, the spiritual realm, and this war that's raging on, it took Christ himself 21 days to get through. How much more longer is it taking these days, especially with everything going on? Inflation, that's spiritual. The change your situation, that's spiritual. It's all spiritual. That's why you can't allow yourself to get frustrated and give up, because how you know this ain't your test? I can't allow myself to get frustrated in the fleshly point where I get to the point of, you know what I'm saying, I give up. I can't allow myself to do that, because I understand what's going on in the spiritual. You absolutely right. This house should have been sold. I should have been sold. Everybody knows that. And then everything that has happened and transpired in the process of this, everybody I talk to and everybody know what's going on, they know it's spiritual. On top of everything else that's going on in the world and that has been going on. Remember, we redid the house right at the height of when the change of situation was going on. So I have to remain patient. I have to remain faithful and not give up, because I know what's going on. They don't want me to have it. They don't want y'all to have it. But you got to wait and keep on pushing forward. But we got that. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and jump over here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to read that article, or let my little app thing. Yeah, I love this app. It's a very powerful tool, very good tool. The article about NASA sending nudes.
Why NASA scientists want to send nudes to space. Scientists want to open a dialogue with intelligent extraterrestrial beings in the Milky Way.
They already have.
Pixabay. A drawing of a hydrogen atom. A map of Earth. A visual representation of DNA's double helix structure. Scientists hope that these and other messages, written in binary code of zeros and ones, will resonate with extraterrestrial life forms in the Milky Way galaxy and invite them to strike up a conversation with Earthlings. And if they don't...
Well, they're talking about zeros and ones. They're talking about digital. That's code word for spirit. It's code word for spirit. Then on top of that, you pretty much you send them the blueprint to everything, even though they already have it. Like, It's crazy. Like, they don't think that aliens don't already have and know about the hydrogen atom and everything. They're the ones that are where do you think these folk got the knowledge to be able to create the hydrogen bomb and all this other stuff? They know about Earth better than most of us know about Earth. They're the ones that are manipulating the elements of the Earth. They know about DNA because they are manipulating the DNA so they could have these immortal bodies. They send a message to try to strike up a conversation. They already have a conversation with Earthlings. Like, I hate being amongst foolish and stupid people. I do. I do.
And if they don't, maybe the nude illustrations researchers intend to transmit into space will. Researchers from a range of institutions, including NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, recently published their proposal for communicating with aliens in the open-source scientific repository Arxiv. Though the decision to include pixelated drawings of naked humans in the mix may seem odd at first blush, researchers have good reason to include them, reasoning that aliens would, naturally, want to know what humans look like. The page contains...
They already know what humans look like. And they know this. They know this. Oh, we got to put it out there, you know what I'm saying? Make it seem like we're going to be in contact with aliens when we're already in contact with aliens. So when the full disclosure happens, then we know we have a way of covering our butts.
The page containing the two human figures can easily be considered one of the most important parts of the message. The scientists write, adding that the physical depiction would certainly be of compelling interest. The proposed message won't be the first to include nudes. In 1972, researchers launched the Pioneer 10 space probe, which contained a small gold plaque with an illustration of a naked man and woman, along with Earth's location in the galaxy and other messaging. It's not clear.
Now let's think about this. Let's say the aliens didn't know where we were at. Even though Earth is a microcosm, I'm saying the world as a whole is a microcosm of the Garden of Eden. Let's say they didn't know. Why in the world would you give them folks your location? We're going to tell them where we at. We're going to tell them what makes us what we are. If they're intelligent, they're more intelligent than we are, right? Intelligent beings, right? Why in the world? Why in the hell? Because that's where it's coming from. Only a person that's stupid and from hell would consider to do something like that to beings that's more superior than you, according to what they say. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe they're superior to me. You talking about fallen angels, demons and stuff. They ain't superior to me. Why would you tell them where you're at? We're going to tell them where we at. We're going to tell them our location in the galaxy. We're going to tell them everything about it. We're going to send them a naked picture. We're going to tell them what makes up our biology. Like, really? Really? But these are the leaders of the world. These are your kings. These are your gods.
It's not clear whether extraterrestrials ever received Pioneer 10's message, but the probe sent its last signal in January 2003 while it was 7.6 billion miles away. This latest bid to communicate with aliens, dubbed a beacon in the galaxy, or BITG for short, is a follow-up to a 1974 interstellar message scientists sent from the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico to a globular cluster some 25,000 light-years away. That note contains...
What is a beacon? A light in the galaxy. They know what's up. They know what they're doing. It still pisses me off.
That note contained a crude, stick figure representation of a human, a DNA double helix, atomic numbers of the chemicals necessary for life on Earth, and a drawing of the telescope, which collapsed in 2020. NASA also tried to communicate with extraterrestrials when it launched Voyager 1 and 2 in 1977. Both spacecrafts contained a 12-inch, gold-plated copper phonograph record with images and sounds from Earth.
Did you catch that? NASA also tried to communicate with extraterrestrials when it launched what? Voyager 1. Then we just read about that, and then now it's doing some crazy stuff, and they're like, hey, we don't know what's going on. Because you're messing with stuff you ain't got no business. They playing games with these ignorant folks. I mean, the ones that are in the upper echelon, they know what's going on. Upper echelon of government, shadow government, however you want to put it, they know what's going on. They in the government. But they got to play these games and stuff. Oh, the Voyager 1, you know what I'm saying? We don't know what's going on. It's still pointing toward Earth, but it's like something is taking over it. The data is impossible data. It's impossible for this to say this. So if it's impossible, but it's still happening, what does that tell you? Oh, because NASA tried to communicate with extraterrestrials when it launched Voyager 1 and 2 in 1977. The same Voyager is having problems right now. They're setting people up. Setting them up. It ain't gonna be good. And then they're gonna say, "Oh no, we're the bad aliens. Jesus, he's the bad alien. We're the good ones. We're the Anunnaki that planted you here. Oh yeah, you're right. The Anunnaki planted you here. Your father's the devil. You gotta be listening to what the people say. They're telling you the truth, but they try to include you in there to give it your birthright. Because if you talk about the Anunnaki planted you here, that means that the devil planted you here and you a tear. Or you believe it and you still give up your birthright, and then you just like them anyway. But they ain't gonna tell you all that. I wonder why.
NASA also tried to communicate with extraterrestrials when it launched Voyager 1 and 2 in 1977. Both spacecrafts contained a 12-inch, gold-plated copper phonograph record with images and sounds from Earth, including greetings in 55 languages. Aliens may want to know what Earthlings look like, the researchers reason. Arxiv. These chaste messages gave rise to a more offbeat transmission in the 1980s. Scientific artist Joe Davis objected to the fact that NASA's messages didn't convey the female reproductive system. So he recorded the vaginal contractions of ballerinas and other women and made a mashup of electronic music and spoken words, based on the data. Davis covertly transmitted Poetica Vaginal into space using the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's million-watt radio telescope. The proposed
Man, these folks crazy. They sent a poetic vaginal message to space. Not only are we going to tell them what make us up, but we're going to give them the code to the women too. Hey, this is the woman's reproductive system. Because they want to sleep with these beings. Just like we saw in the times of Sodom and Gomorrah. They wanted to sleep with the angels. Because they were so good looking. We're going to send a poetic vaginal message to space and show you the reproductive system of the women. So the aliens can come and take all the women, and then, hey, where does that leave us as men? Nowhere. Because the men will be the threat. The women will be the prize that they get to be able to impregnate these women to give birth to their own form of mankind. Like, come. I hate it here. I hate it here. I hate it here.
The proposed message is more straightforward, and though it will contain the human form, it won't contain references to human culture.
Ooh.
Including images of humanity's greatest art and architecture would make the message prohibitively large, the researchers argue, and the aliens may not understand what they mean. If humanity were receiving a message containing these depictions, it is not clear we would understand what they meant, they write. Researchers wrote the message in binary code, a language they hope extraterrestrial beings will understand. Arxiv. Instead, they plan to focus on concepts that any intelligent life form would presumably understand, math and physics. For now, the message is basically a rough draft. The though the scientists want to someday transmit it from the powerful 500-meter aperture spherical radio telescope in China and the Allen Telescope Array in California to a specific section of Milky Way they believe is the most likely place for life to have developed. Their ultimate goal.
And that's interesting also because recently they've been talking about the Milky Way. Right? Recently they've been talking about the Milky Way. You see the connections? They're putting it out there. But do you really see what's going on?
Their ultimate goal is to start a dialogue with intelligent extraterrestrial beings, no matter how far in the future that happens.
Mankind already has.
And though the nude illustrations are intended to serve a practical, non-sexual purpose, the scientists are taking Carl Sagan's open-minded approach all the same. As the astronomer once wrote, even if the aliens are short, dar, and sexually obsessed, if they're here, I want to know about them. Aliens, art, artists, astronomy, body, famous scientists.
Do you see the foolishness of these people? The man sat there and said that even if these aliens are the typical depiction of how they depict aliens, the grays and everything, and they are sexually obsessed, I still want to know about them. If the aliens come and they just ravage the whole world because they are sexually obsessed and they give birth to demonic creatures, because there's this notion that, oh, these beings cannot reproduce and everything. If they come in the form of human bodies, they can. If they take the female and they inject and they impregnate the female or do something crazy, they can. But he said no matter the cost, they could be sexually obsessed. They could be satires. They could be all these unclean creatures that we hear about in so-called mythology. They can come and ravage our planet, ravage all the women. I still want to know about it. I still want to know that they exist. I still want to know what they know. These are the people that they look up to. Oh, they're so smart. They're geniuses. Man, the hell with these bastards. Why would I want a green alien or a great alien, whatever the hell it is, coming to this earth in the first place or walking around and then he's sexually obsessed? We already got a problem as it is with sexual perversion. So I want a great alien or whatever, a Nordic white alien on the earth sleeping with the women. Then guess who's the threat? The men are the threat. Especially us black men, because we already the threat. But hey, they don't give a damn. Because they want to get rid of us anyway. But I'm a little bit upset because this is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. Mankind is sending nudes to space. And then it's even more upsetting because they are already in contact with what we know as aliens. They here on earth. Satan is a god of this world. The prince of the power of the what? Of the air. That's why it takes so many days when the angel of the Lord is coming through, he's coming into this territory. It takes a certain amount of days. It's so much he got to go through. But hopefully you understand why your blessing has not come yet. Excuse me, there may be other reasons, but it could be very well this reason right here. With that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared.